The hidden creatine danger. Nobody talks about. What if I told you the biggest danger of creatine isn't what it does to your body, but how you misunderstand it? Sounds strange, right? Because creatine is actually one of the safest and most researched supplements out there. It's been studied for years, and for most people, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Support performance and help your muscles work more efficiently. But here's the hidden part almost nobody talks about. The real danger isn't physical, it's mental. It's how easy it is to misinterpret what's happening when you start taking it. You see the scale go up and assume you're gaining fat. You notice slight changes in how your body looks and think you're losing progress. You don't feel instant results and believe it's not working. And just like that, your mindset shifts. You start doubting your routine, you lose motivation, and you stop too early. Not the supplement, but the misunderstanding around it. Because when you don't fully understand how creatine works, every normal effect can feel like a problem. And that confusion leads people to quit before they ever see the real benefits. So the real risk isn't taking creatine, it's expecting the wrong things from it and giving up when reality doesn't match those expectations. Today, we're diving into the hidden creatine danger nobody talks about. And no, this isn't about scary side effects or health risks. This is about something much more subtle and honestly, much more common. But before we begin, drop your name and the city you're watching from in the comments below. Alright, let's get started. Number 1. The danger starts with wrong expectations. Let's begin with the real problem, because this is where everything starts to go wrong for most people. Most people start taking creatine with the wrong expectations. They expect fast muscle growth, instant strength, and a visible transformation in just days or weeks. It's often seen as some kind of shortcut, something that will speed up the process without requiring much change in habits. And honestly, that expectation is understandable. That's how it's often talked about. But here's the reality. Creatine doesn't work like that. It doesn't build muscle overnight, it doesn't instantly change how your body looks, and it definitely doesn't replace the need for consistent training, proper nutrition, and recovery. So when those expectations don't match reality, frustration starts to build. You take it for a week, maybe 2, and nothing dramatic happens. You don't suddenly look bigger. You don't feel a massive surge of energy. The mirror doesn't show a huge difference. And that gap between what you expected and what actually happens can feel disappointing. That's where the danger begins. Because instead of understanding that creatine works gradually, people assume it's not working at all. They start questioning the supplement. They start doubting their routine. And eventually, they give up. Not because creatine failed, but because their expectations were off from the start. That's the real issue. When you expect a shortcut, you miss the value of what creatine actually offers. Small, consistent improvements in performance that build over time. And when you don't recognize those small changes, it's easy to overlook the progress that's actually happening. So the problem isn't creatine itself, it's the expectation that it should do more, faster, and with less effort than reality allows. Fix that, and everything else starts to make a lot more sense. Number 2. The scale can trick you fast. Here's something that catches people off guard, and it happens more often than you think. You start taking creatine, and suddenly, the number on the scale goes up, and just like that, instant panic. Your first reaction is usually, wait, what just happened? Especially if your goal is to lose fat or stay lean. You've been consistent, watching your diet, putting in the effort, and now the scale is moving in the wrong direction. It feels like you're going backward, and that feeling alone can be enough to throw you off mentally. But here's the truth. It's not fat. What's actually happening is much simpler and completely normal. Creatine pulls water into your muscle cells. This process helps your muscles stay better hydrated, which improves performance, strength, and overall function during exercise. So that increase in weight? It's just water being stored inside your muscles. Nothing more. No sudden fat gain, and no loss of progress. But if you don't understand that, it can seriously mess with your mindset. Because the scale doesn't explain why your weight changed, it only shows a number. And without context, that number can feel discouraging. You might start thinking your diet isn't working, your workouts aren't effective, or that creatine is doing something negative. That's where the real problem begins, not with the weight itself, but with how you interpret it. Because when you believe you're going backward, even when you're not, it can destroy your motivation. It can make you doubt your routine, change things unnecessarily, or even quit before you see real results. And that's the hidden danger. So instead of reacting to the number right away, take a step back and understand what's actually happening inside your body. Because once you do, that moment of panic turns into clarity. And instead of feeling like you're losing progress, you realize you're actually still moving forward. Number 3, the mental spiral nobody mentions. Now here's the part people don't talk about enough, and honestly, it's where the real problem begins. You see your weight increase, maybe your body looks a little softer in the mirror, and suddenly your mind starts racing. Am I gaining fat? Is my diet not working anymore? Are my workouts doing nothing? And just like that, doubt starts creeping in. It doesn't happen all at once. It builds quietly. One thought leads to another, and before you realize it, you're questioning everything. Your routine, your effort, even your progress. What felt like a solid plan just days ago suddenly feels uncertain. That's the mental spiral, and that's the real hidden danger, because nothing physically went wrong. Your body is simply adjusting. The water retention from creatine can slightly change how you look and what the scale shows. It's temporary, and it's completely normal. But if you don't understand that, your mind fills in the gaps with worst-case assumptions. And those assumptions can be powerful. They can make you lose confidence in what you're doing. You might start changing things too quickly, cutting calories harder, overtraining, or even stopping creatine altogether. Not because it's not working, but because it feels like it's not working. That feeling is what throws people off track. Progress in fitness is already a long-term game. It requires patience, consistency, and trust in the process. But when your mindset gets shaken, it becomes much harder to stay consistent. That's why this mental side matters so much. If you understand what's happening, those small changes won't scare you. You won't panic when the scale goes up or when your body looks slightly different for a short time. Instead, you stay focused on the bigger picture, because the real danger isn't creatine. It's how quickly your mind can convince you that you're failing when you're actually still making progress. Number 4, ignoring hydration makes it worse. Here's another piece of the puzzle, and it's one that a lot of people completely overlook. Creatine increases your body's need for water. That's just part of how it works. When you take creatine, it pulls water into your muscle cells to help them function better during short bursts of effort. That's a good thing for performance, but it also means your body needs more fluids overall to stay balanced. And if you don't adjust for that, you start to feel it. You might feel more tired than usual, even if you're sleeping fine. You could experience mild cramps during workouts, or just feel slightly off throughout the day. Not sick, not injured, just not quite right. And here's where the misunderstanding happens. Instead of looking at hydration, most people blame creatine. They assume the supplement isn't working for them, or worse, that it's causing problems. So what do? They stop taking it. They quit before they even give their body a chance to adapt properly. But the real issue was never creatine, it was hydration. This is what makes it tricky. The symptoms don't always scream you need more water. They're subtle, easy to misinterpret, and if you're not aware of how creatine affects your fluid balance, it's easy to connect the dots the wrong way. The fix, however, is simple. Drink more water consistently. Once your hydration matches your body's needs, those issues often disappear. Energy levels improve, workouts feel smoother, and your body adjusts the way it's supposed to. And that's the frustrating part. A lot of people miss out on the benefits of creatine, not because it doesn't work, but because they didn't support it properly. So before you blame the supplement, take a step back and look at the basics. Because sometimes the difference between feeling off and feeling your best is just a few more glasses of water each day. Number 5. Relying on creatine. Like a shortcut. Let's be honest for a second, this is something a lot of people don't like to admit, but it's true. Some people take creatine hoping it will replace effort. They think, if I'm taking this, maybe I don't have to push as hard. Maybe they train less consistently, skip workouts, or don't pay much attention to their diet. But at the same time, they still expect results to show up. And that's where things fall apart. Because creatine doesn't work like that. It's not a substitute for discipline, it's not something that cancels out inconsistency. And it definitely doesn't build strength or muscle on its own. All it does is support your body when you're already putting in the work. So, if the effort isn't there, the results won't be either. This mindset is actually more limiting than the supplement itself, because when you rely on something external to do the job for you, you stop focusing on the habits that actually create progress. You start looking for shortcuts instead of building a routine. And over time, that approach leads to frustration. You don't see results, so you assume something isn't working. But the real issue isn't the supplement. It's the expectation behind it. Real progress comes from consistency, effort, and patience. It comes from showing up, even when you don't feel like it. From doing the workouts, eating properly, and giving your body time to adapt. Creatine can support all of that, but it can't replace it. So if your mindset is, take this and get results, you'll always feel like something is missing. But if your mindset shifts to use this to support the work I'm already doing, everything changes. Because in the end, the biggest thing holding you back isn't the supplement you choose. It's how you expect it to work. Number 6, quitting too early. Here's a mistake that happens all the time, and it quietly stops people from ever seeing real results. People try creatine for a week or two, don't see dramatic changes, and then they stop. At first, it seems logical. You start something new, you expect to feel or see a difference pretty quickly. And when that doesn't happen, it's easy to assume it's not working. No visible muscle growth, no huge jump in strength, nothing that feels impressive right away. So, you move on. But that's exactly the problem. Creatine doesn't work like an instant booster. It works over time. It needs to build up in your muscles. It supports your body gradually, helping you perform a little better during workouts. And those small improvements, they don't feel dramatic in the moment, but they stack up over weeks and months. That's where the real results come from. Not from one scoop, not from one week, but from consistent use combined with consistent effort. So, when you quit early, you're basically stopping right before things start to matter. You never reach the point where your muscles are fully saturated. You never give your body enough time to use that extra support to improve performance. And because of that, you never see the actual benefits creatine can provide. It's like planting something and digging it up a few days later because it hasn't grown yet. The process just doesn't work that way. So the key isn't trying creatine for a short time and judging it quickly. It's sticking with it. Because with creatine, patience isn't optional. It's the whole point. Number 7. Overcomplicating something simple. Another hidden issue? Making creatine way more complicated than it needs to be. You see it everywhere. Loading phases, exact timing, cycling on and off, taking it with specific foods, or using higher doses for faster results. It starts to feel like you need a whole strategy just to take one simple supplement. And honestly, that's where a lot of people get overwhelmed. They think, am I doing this right? Should I be taking more? Am I missing out if I don't follow a strict plan? But here's the truth. None of that matters as much as consistency. Creatine isn't something that depends on perfect timing. It doesn't suddenly work better just because you took it at the exact right minute, before or after a workout. And taking more than your body needs won't speed things up. It just adds unnecessary complexity. What actually matters is keeping your muscle creatine levels steady over time. And the simplest way to do that? A small, consistent daily dose. That's it. Around 3 to 5 grams per day, taken regularly, is more than enough for most people. No need to overthink it. No need to chase perfection. Just make it part of your routine, like brushing your teeth or drinking water. Because the more complicated you make it, the harder it becomes to stick with. And when you stop being consistent, that's when results slow down or disappear. This is where people unintentionally hold themselves back. They focus so much on doing everything perfectly that they lose sight of what actually works long term. Simple habits done consistently. So instead of chasing advanced strategies, keep it basic. Take it daily. Stay hydrated and train regularly. Because with creatine, the people who get results aren't the ones who overcomplicate it. They're the ones who stick with it. Number 8. The real hidden danger. So here it is, the truth without the hype. The hidden danger of creatine isn't physical, it's mental. It's not about your kidneys, your muscles, or anything extreme people sometimes worry about. For most people, creatine is safe and well-researched. The real problem starts in your mind and how you interpret what's happening after you begin using it. Because misunderstanding creatine changes everything. You expect too much, too fast. You think it's going to transform your body in days, and when that doesn't happen, frustration starts to build. You see the scale go up, your body looks slightly different, or you don't feel immediate results, and you assume something is wrong. That reaction is the real issue. You start doubting your routine. You question your diet, You lose confidence in your progress, and sometimes you quit before your body even has time to adapt. All because your expectations didn't match reality. That's how something helpful turns into something frustrating. But when you understand how creatine actually works, everything changes. You stop chasing instant results. You stop reacting emotionally to small changes. And you start focusing on what really matters: performance, consistency, and long-term progress. That's when creatine becomes what it's meant to be. A tool, not a shortcut, and not a magic fix. Just something that supports your effort and helps you get a little more out of the work you're already doing. And that small advantage, used correctly over time, can lead to real results. So the difference isn't in the supplement itself. It's in how you understand it and how you choose to use it. Get that part right, and everything else starts to fall into place. So before you blame creatine or think it's not working, ask yourself, are you seeing the truth or just reacting to what you don't fully understand yet? If this video helped you think differently about creatine, make sure to like, subscribe, and stick around for more simple fitness tips. And I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced this hidden danger yourself? Let me know in the comments below.